That's more like it. For those of you who have not had the opportunity to meet yet, my name is Julie Sina, and I have the honor of serving as your alumni director, and it truly is that. So, as we gather here this morning in this iconic space, one of the 4 original buildings of UCLA, and if you have a moment before you leave, I encourage you to take in this view, because it's an incredible view of our campus, which we all know here is much more than the buildings that you see. It's about the community that we build at UCLA. And one of the things that we love to quote, of course, and you all can understand this because you're Bruins, is the values that John Wooden instilled in us. And today I always think of that quote that I adore, which is, make each day your masterpiece. And as I look out at this group, on the Friday of homecoming, and our Bruins who have come home with this incredible joy of sharing this weekend with your students and your children who have followed you, and walking the walk, the Bruin Walk, and all the places on campus that you just adore. It truly is a masterpiece. And as our softball coach and our Bruin says every single day to her team, it's a great day to be a Bruin. Isn't that the truth, people? So, I have the privilege of introducing to you a fabulous Bruin and a volunteer, Kathleen Lago. Kathleen is a leader on our Parents Council. She graduated from UCLA with a degree in theater, and then took a walk across town, as we say, Kathleen, and earned her MBA at that other school. And she's been in marketing and external relations for over 20 years, and currently serves as a Western Regional Director at Disabled American Veterans. So Kathleen, thank you for your service. She and her husband Christian are parents to Bruin, Caitlin, who's also joining us today, and their son Cole, who's a junior at another Pac-12 school, the Arizona State University. She's a proud alumnus, and this is her 3rd year as a member of our Parents Council. So Kathleen, thank you for your service, and please come up to the podium.
Thank you, Julie. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to campus. So when I was first invited to talk with you today, my reaction was, wow, are you sure? I don't come from a long line of Bruins, and I certainly did not have the typical college experience. Our amazing Parent and Family Association staff pointed out something I hadn't thought of. I suppose because it was so obvious. UCLA has touched just about every aspect of my life and family for decades, but in a different way than you might think. When I was admitted as a first-generation student in 1985, as the child of an airplane mechanic and a telephone operator, living on campus felt out of reach. There was no family blueprint, no one who had been there and done that to share their own stories of adjustment to college life. So I decided to commute from home and towards my first year and see how it went. I still remember an early morning after a particularly long drive getting here and thinking to myself, I am so tired already. And then I heard another student mention that she had just driven from Anaheim, which is almost twice as far. We all had this odd bond that felt somewhat invisible to the rest of campus. By my sophomore year, I was ready to move to Westwood. Even as a commuter, I grew tremendously during my freshman year, as many college students do. I felt like a Bruin, and I knew I belonged here. Within a few months, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer and chose UCLA for her care. You see, she had lost her sister, my beloved aunt, a few years prior due to substandard cancer treatment at a community hospital. So she wanted to come here. Because my father had rigid work hours, I was her primary ride to treatment and appointments. Once again, but for much different reasons, residential life was not an option. Mom ended up doing just fine, thanks to the amazing care she received here. And the hospital system became part of my college experience. Even as a commuter student, though, I had fun and I learned a few practical skills along the way. Within a month or 2, parallel parking became second nature. And I really impressed my mechanic father by sharing how we practiced righty-tighty, lefty-loosey in set design class. I also ran a theater production financially and operationally, ultimately realizing that I enjoyed the business side of the house. Many years after graduation, there would be other touch points with UCLA. Our Bruin and her twin brother would be born at UCLA in Santa Monica after months of phenomenal prenatal care right down the road at 200 Medical Plaza. And my blue-collar parents, who were instrumental in making sure I had a pathway to college, would each receive end-of-life care here at UCLA. It was here that my husband and I had those very tough conversations. Fast forward to April 2020, when our daughter was first accepted amidst the COVID-19 shutdowns. It was late on a Friday night. I heard this screaming from another room in our house. Somebody died. She opened that email with the dancing blue and gold balloons on her laptop. Her first response was, "This is fake news." Then it was, "Oh, they made a mistake." Finally, after a day or so, she says, "Okay, I'm ready to commit, but I want to be involved. I don't want to commute." "Of course not," we said. Caitlin has been immersed in campus life since her sophomore year, and she's carving her own path at UCLA that looks nothing like mine. During her freshman year, she earned her EMT certification at the UCLA Center for Pre-Hospital Care, taking advantage of extra downtime during the COVID closures. She's just one of several undergraduate Bruins we know who proudly serve as first responders with highly respected agencies here in Southern California and nationally. Every Bruin has a story of how they made the most of their opportunities as the world around them constantly changed, because that's what Bruins do. As alumni, we may be thrilled to have our kids walk the same halls we did, but we want them to do much more than follow in our footsteps. Our hope is that they make much bigger, more impactful footprints. UCLA is setting them up to do just that, not only with its world-class academics, but also the incredible resources available. Commuter students will always have a special place in my heart. Now they have a plethora of resources at UCLA to help with their unique needs. A place like Bruin Hub, a special space on campus for those with long drives to rest and recharge in between classes. I look forward to visiting someday and witnessing firsthand the difference this space makes for commuter students. Additionally, there are more resources available to students who are serving as a support system to their own families. They have places to seek assistance, like the Bruin Resource Center's Students with Dependents program. Looking back, I really could have benefited from such a support structure. Once my husband and I became official Bruin parents, we learned about Parents Council, and I wondered if I was really the right type of parent to be part of this group. But it occurred to me that if we are going to make a place at UCLA for non-traditional students, who are first generation, working students, veterans, commuters, etc., we must also make a place for their families to belong. A place for parents who aren't alumni of any college to experience some connection to this amazing community that their child is navigating. Being a parent volunteer offers an opportunity to serve together with parents from all over the world with varying career paths and education levels, and ultimately realize that we all share something very special in common: supporting our Bruins. As alumni, we all know how special a UCLA education is, and how important it is to connect with and learn from the Bruin community. I think it's fair to say that nobody understands the importance of safeguarding the value of a UCLA education better than our beloved Chancellor, which is why it gives me great pleasure to introduce Chancellor Gene Block.
Thank you, Kathleen, for those really moving comments. And it's great you're all here, and it's good to be in person. And it's an exciting weekend, and as I always said, one of my favorite weekends. So I think I've said this many times before. The fact that we have parents and children who are all going to be alumni of UCLA is extraordinary, because there are no legacy admissions here. Every year it's a level playing field. We try to be equitable. We try to make sure that everyone within California has an opportunity to apply and be successful if they make a grade to UCLA. So there's no legacy. So the chance, and so think about it, because the probability of getting into UCLA is diminishingly small this year, unfortunately. And if you think about generations of families that have sent Bruins to us, it's really an extraordinary accomplishment of families. We've done it through hard work, support. So I congratulate all of you, because it really is, it's truly remarkable that we have the number of parents we have who also have children here at UCLA. So what's changed between when you came here, and we have maybe some grandparents here too, so maybe from the 1960s to 2022, what's changed here? And I'd say if I had to characterize it, I'd say we've gone from good to great. That's my feeling. I'm on the inside and I'm biased, but that's my feeling. And I'd say, if I look at the 1960s, at that time, UCLA was a good school, certainly. It was a local school. It was a commuter school. There was relatively little housing on campus. It had great faculty, but it didn't have, I'd say, a really international footprint at that time. And if you were looking at schools in California, you'd probably say Berkeley had been great for decades. Berkeley is truly a great institution. And Stanford was a local institution in the 1950s, a great local school, but was becoming obviously a powerhouse by the 1960s. But UCLA really at that time was probably certainly not in the league of Berkeley and not in the league of Stanford. And that has changed. And it really has changed dramatically over the last 30 years. And it really has moved, I think, from good to great. What I mean by that, its research capacity has expanded tremendously. And this year, I think we have $1.72 billion in competitively awarded grants. So really at the top, there may be a few schools with larger numbers of competitive grants, but not very many. We're really near the top. So certainly in terms of research excellence, we continue to improve. Our footprint in the city is so much more dramatically impactful now than it was 20 or 30 years ago. I think we have 250 clinics now for just our health system, reaching out throughout the city. Our student body is much more diverse and extraordinarily high quality. Now, students that got in 20 years ago, it was hard, but now it's really hard. This year, I think it was 149,700 applications for this county. And so it is harder and harder, and the group coming in is really, the students are more and more talented in so many different ways. I mean, talents that go even beyond what they've achieved in the classroom, what they've overcome for many of our students. And talking about non-traditional students, there are a lot of non-traditional students at UCLA. And remember, about a third of our students coming in are transfer students. 93% of those, I think, are from community colleges. And some of them aren't conventional. They're sort of catching up and doing better. Many are not. Many are parents, many are veterans, many have really backgrounds, trajectories that you think it is amazing that they were able to get here. We have formerly incarcerated youth, we have former foster youth, really have overcome enormous barriers to gain entry into UCLA. So we are a non-traditional, traditional institution in the sense that so many of our students come from varied backgrounds. And it's a great strength. It's one of the really great advantages that UCLA has. So I'd say we've come from good to great. And along with that come some challenges. And one is we're too popular. All those applications, the legislature has said UCLA must grow. If you walk around this campus, you will say, where? And as I always say, unless we are willing to employ eminent domain on the Belvedere Country Club golf course, I think would be the last thing I would be able to do here before going into hiding. We have to find other ways to grow, and some of you have followed recently that we're trying to extend campus in other ways, and we just are just about completing purchase of formerly Marymount California University in Rancho Palos Verdes, which we're very excited about. That is a school that traditionally serves students who look a lot like our students in terms of their demographics, and we'll continue the mission, and we're thinking now with our faculty senate exactly how to do that. We have to find other ways to accept more students as well, and we're looking at summer session turning into a legitimate summer quarter. Some of you that may remember when summer quarters were instituted, 1960s, 70s, at a lot of institutions. It really never turned into a real quarter, and perhaps we can turn it into a real quarter and have many more students here are using the summer more effectively. Obviously, online education has a role here as well, and speeding up graduation. As much as Bruins want to stay around, we'd like to see them finish up in 4 years, and right now I think 85% of our students finish in 4 years, but not everyone. And there are differences among groups, and our students at lower income take longer to graduate, so closing the graduation gaps can also open up more opportunities. So that's the right thing to do. but it's also a good thing to do in terms of opening up more opportunities. So overall, optimism on campus is everywhere. It's just a very special place. And we are great. I mean, in terms of our rankings and everything, we're certainly at the top of research institutions worldwide. What I keep saying is we also want to be the most impactful university. We want to be impactful in everything we do. And that's what we're going to be working on over the next several years, is to improve our impact, which is already very great in Los Angeles, but also, of course, nationwide and worldwide. So thank you for being here. It's going to be a fun weekend, and as Carol and I would say, it's really a blessing and an honor to serve this institution. So thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor Block, and Kathleen, I couldn't agree with you more. It's such an honor to be part of this community that you lead, so thank you for your leadership. And I want to also acknowledge Carol Block, who's a fabulous partner in all you do. So Carol, if you could stand and while you're standing, if you would join me. And in addition to Carol, this, as we said, this is homecoming week, and so I'd like to invite our student leadership who has led our homecoming activities, and from our Alumni Scholars Club and our Student Alumni Association to come forward. And Kathleen, if you could join in as well, and Jane and Kristen. So Bruins, when we gather, there's just something we have to do. So we invite you to stand if you're able and allow our students, Carol, to lead us in our first 8 clap of the day. And just so you know, I asked our students to go in our speed today.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, so we're gonna start down here. Yeah. I'll do a short little demonstration. Okay. Really slow.
Just in case you didn't hear, she said she's going to do that at USC speed. Sorry, Kathleen.
Start down here, and then we'll go and then we bring our hands to our chest and clap 8 times. Yeah. C. A. U. L. A. Fight.
Ready?
Okay, now we'll do it a little faster. Ready?
Thank you, everybody. So the words of Coach, let's make this a Bruin masterpiece, and the words of Kelly, it's a great day to be a Bruin. Go Bruins. Thank you.